I took my cover up off because I felt like I had some muscles showing. I obviously felt good and strong myself. After about 6 months, I realized that I didn't know what I was doing. And I felt like I needed guidance because I felt like I was probably eating too much. I had my annual doctor visit. Highly recommended you all. Fear of hurting myself, pulling a muscle, doing something that probably would set me back.
And sometimes we just need to talk out these irrational fears.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fit Vegan Podcast. Today, I have something very special for you. As you see, we're posting this on a Monday, so this is a first for us. I'm starting a little series where on Mondays, we're going to have our Fit Vegan coaches interview their Fit Vegan clients that they've helped succeed in their transformation. And so in today's episode, you're going to hear our coach, Sarah, interview Susan, her client, about her transformation and how she was able to become a fit vegan and succeed in her journey, the ups, the downs, the challenges, the navigations, and how she got back on track. And she did an incredible job with this interview. So again, every single Monday, we're going to rotate through our fit vegan coaches as they interview their clients so you can hear more inspirational stories of what is possible when you fuel yourself properly on a whole food, plant-based lifestyle, and you combine that with strength training. You'd be amazed at the results that are going to be possible for you as well. And so I say, enjoy the episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. All right, a little interruption before we get into today's episode. So I run these shows sponsor free. We will never take on sponsors because everything is self-funded through our Fit Vegan coaching program. So if you enjoy these shows, the best way to support is obviously to subscribe to the channel. But also, if you know anyone over the age of 50 that is looking to improve their body composition, combat sarcopenia, combat osteoporosis, get healthier on a whole food, plant-based lifestyle, to simply send them our way at fitvegancoaching.com, because we are the best in the world in helping people over 50 transform. We have over 1,000 transformation in 20 different countries. So simply send them our way. In addition to that, a percentage of our profit monthly goes towards supporting cancer patients with their treatments and bills and whatever they may need to support themselves and their family. So you're also supporting additional people outside of the work that we'd be doing in the program. That is all I have for you today. So enjoy the episode.
Hi, Susan. Welcome to the podcast. You're my very first one. So I am super pleased that you are here and taking the time with me.
Oh, great. I'm happy to be here.
Good. Excellent. All right. So I just wanted to know, and I want you to tell everybody, what prompted you to join Fit Vegan? Like, tell us what brought you to us.
Okay. Well, first off, my vegan journey is it's almost a little over a year old. I was watching TV one night and it just was the right mood, and some documentary came on about how good it is to eat plant-based food and, a vegan lifestyle. And for whatever reason, I thought I'd never not eat meat. It just made sense, all the sense in the world. And I totally went vegan the next day. And I didn't even really know what it was.
Talk about jumping in all at once.
And but I felt like if I didn't, it wasn't like, oh, I'll do it Friday or anything. I was like, with what you've heard, it makes so much sense. The biggest thing was your lifestyle ongoing. I don't fear death or whatever, but I want to take care of myself as much as I can, or I'm willing to do, that makes sense, so that I, can still be active, move around, not have to take a ton of medicines, whatnot. So I literally was like, okay, I know I need to eat protein. And I knew I'd never bought tofu. I'd made fun of it and all those things. So I knew I needed to eat all that. So I wanted to make up for the protein from massive amounts of meat I ate, and did it. And then after about 6 months, I realized that I didn't know what I was doing, really. And I felt like I needed guidance because I felt like I was probably eating too much because I was so worried I wasn't getting enough.
Yeah.
And so I literally, I had my annual doctor visit, and she's like, "Hey, Susan, what's new?" She's really cool. And she's like, "What's new with you?" Whatever, blah. And I went vegan. She went, "You did? That's great." Cause I didn't know this, but she was vegan.
Okay.
And and I was telling her about what I just told you. And she
Mhm.
goes, well, do you want something that's fitness based or do you want just a nutritionist? And I went, well,
Mhm.
I'm into fitness. That would be great too. So she highly recommended you all.
Oh, I didn't realize that your doctor recommended us. How
Yes.
wonderful.
And
Wow.
she actually, I know you meet a million people. She actually had done it for 4 months. Somewhere, I think when she was in a doctor seminar in California, she met y'all.
Okay.
But I didn't know that until I was checking in with her to tell her how I was doing on the program and how I liked it, and told her that if she had other clients that wanted any opinions or feedback to give me a call. So that's kind of how it went. So she led me. So I Googled it, and I just Googled it, scheduled a call, and, she told me, okay, whatever, and got on a call within a few days and signed up. Had no
Wow.
clue what I was doing.
Sometimes the universe conspires, I think.
Exactly. Well, and I felt like, yeah, she's pretty cool. She knows me well. So I think I felt confident that she recommended probably the
Okay.
right fit for me.
Yeah. So you didn't have any prior health issues. You were just doing it for preventative things.
Yes, it just made sense to me. I think, you know, I'd always been a little heavy, but I've always been athletic.
Yeah.
And slowly through the last 10 years or so, I've really tightened up my eating, like clean eating, this and that, cut
Mhm.
out sugar, chocolate, different things, that I felt like I'd either eat too much of or weren't made sense, not good for you.
Yeah.
So, but I never thought I could not eat meat. And so it just made sense to me, and did it for hoping to not feel bad or get sick or prevent things.
Wow. Any hesitations or reservations about joining like an online program?
No, no, and I will say, um, when I called, I think had she not recommended, I don't even think I Googled like that this was reputable. That's terrible, I know.
No, it's okay. It's a reality.
But I think because she had recommended it and I didn't know she was in it, I felt really confident. She's very, you know, astute with certain things. And since I didn't know she'd done it, but she said she was a vegan. So I felt comfortable doing it. But it was funny because when I had my first meeting and they were talking to me, oh, I can't remember who it was. That's terrible.
It's
And
okay.
he's like, okay, do you want to sign up? It'll be X dollars. I'm like, okay. I didn't flinch.
Wow.
I signed up for a year. I don't even know how long some people saying 4 months, whatever. I have no idea what the options are, but it was fine.
So, we
Probably,
met on our onboarding because you started mid-November, I think.
yes, right. But,
Yeah.
because I know I was trying to get on board before the holidays was just a fluke. And I was glad, about
Yeah.
that, but it wasn't on purpose.
Right. Yeah. Um, did you have any expectations when you started the program? When we met, we had our onboarding. Did you have like, and the reason why I'm asking this is because a lot of people come into the program thinking that they're going to do it 100%. And I know with working with you, it was not 100% straight
No.
away. So, how was that for you?
Well, I mean, I literally jumped in. And I think all I'm going to say was I was confused at first. Wasn't sure how everything worked,
Yeah.
but yet everybody was very nice and helpful. Even you would say, I said something once we met and I went, well, I didn't want to bother you. And you went, well, that's what I'm here for. You write me a question. And I was like, well, little things like that. Like, I didn't want to bother you, but then you had to school me that that's the point, Susan. So, and I had, not, and I'm pretty technically savvy, but maneuvering through the workout things, I didn't, reading certain things, I didn't know. I remember our first call, you were like, do you have any questions? And I was like, I don't even know what to,
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know what to ask because it was still fairly new.
Yeah.
So I didn't have, I just had expectations someone would guide me and tell me and show me. And that's what I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. The first few weeks are a bit rough
Yeah.
to learn everything, and the expectation of doing everything perfect right off the hop is one we try to tamper, I guess is a good word. Because we're not looking for perfection. We just want, improvement. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And so what was your first, phase like? So every phase is 4 weeks. So what was your first 4 weeks like in the
My
program?
my biggest memory was probably the menus, and because I've never been a big cook recipe person,
Yeah.
limited time in the kitchen, kind of by interest and choice. So to prepare the meals and do things was massive to me because
Yeah.
I didn't do that as it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't a curiosity or a knack, but fortunately it told me everything. But I was like, oh my God, this is taking forever. And everybody kept saying it'll get easier, which is true. But that was really a lot on me not being the non-cook, I cook to eat, but not
Hmm.
I'm not into all these recipes. So doing that was the tough part. And the workouts, as you know, I wasn't too strong on those, but I did love the fact that I was in heaven that everything was online
Yeah.
because I'm on the move a lot, and that I didn't have to go anywhere. B, I could have y'all with me at all times.
Yeah. Yeah, your first, and the reason why I wanted for you to come on the podcast is because your beginning of your journey was unconventional. You did struggle with the meal planning, and there was, and we'll get into this later, but there was some hesitancy with the workouts and getting them in, and it was it's really important to me to highlight that not everybody comes into the program like a shot
Right.
and gets it right off the bat, and it takes some time, and it takes patience and coaching and communication with your coach. And we eventually figured out that meal planning is not for you. We just have to set you some guidelines and some goals and let you do your own thing, because what you're really doing is ideal for you. You're eating whole foods, you're getting your protein, you're hitting your calorie goals. That's it. Not everybody needs to follow a meal plan.
Well, and meal plan to some degree. I mean, I do plan, but not like and I appreciate everybody trying to get the different flavors in with all the recipes and everything. And I'm like, I'm good with this. Throw tofu.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
much tofu? Boom. Good. I'm good.
Yeah, and a diet will only work until you not do it, right? You
Right.
have to, we have to make it to fit you, not you fit us. And so it's really important that, we make something that is a sustainable way of eating. Because I also am not a rule follower. I don't meal plan. I don't follow recipes on a regular basis, which I know might come to a shock to people, but it's true. But we have to be responsible to our bodies and what our bodies need, um, and get those goals in any way we need. It doesn't matter what it looks like. So
Right.
yeah. So do you want to talk about your reluctance to working out?
Yeah. Well, let's say, well, there was a
Weight training.
yeah, well, there was a reluctance to working out. And then there was uh, it was a couple things. One was non-prior, it wasn't a priority because
Yeah.
I'm like crazy active, just doing things, which is psychotic. Like I'm either in the yard building something, doing something, whatever, but I wouldn't stop or do the workout and before. And then I would get busy or I'd even plan like I'm going to work out when it's the superest hottest, work out inside, something and I wouldn't do it because I'd get in the middle of something and I didn't want to stop part of
Yeah.
one. But then I had been hurt, not injured, or I had some stuff. For the last 4 years, I've been off and on being able to be athletic on a regular basis or active. So I have been taking baby like fear of
Yeah.
hurting myself, pulling a muscle, doing something that probably would set me back.
Mhm.
And it really had psychologically, I knew I was like, if and I play a lot of tennis, I would go back to tennis. Oh, I can only play a half hour. I don't want to, overdo my elbow, and then mix the weights in. I'm like, oh, I can't lift today. I have tennis. And, what if I blow my shoulder out? So
Yeah.
such baby steps, I was almost paralyzed to get back to do it. And I remember you going, um, have you ever, you were like, have you ever lifted weights before? Have you done this? I went, girl, I've been lifting weights since I was 12 years old. I was a swimmer,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, I'm just mortified that something's going to happen and I'm going to get set back again.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was through our conversations because that was a fear I was unaware of because you weren't explicit with it. I'm like, why isn't she doing her workouts? She's athletic.
Oh,
She
why is
knows
she
we
lifting like 10 pounds when
yes. Yes. And I was like, okay. I'm like, so we had to have a bit of a heart to heart. I'm like, what is going on with you? And then through conversation, you're like, I'm afraid of hurting myself. I'm like, oh, okay. This we can do. This we can work with. And then we had a subsequent conversation, a few weeks later about intensity.
right. As I put in my workout yesterday, like, I don't really need that 60-minute rest. Do I have to rest that long? And you're like, well, you're probably not lifting
Heavy enough.
heavy enough. And I went, yes, probably. That's probably the point.
Yes, it's true. Yeah. So having the vulnerability to be open with your coach is so important because had we not had those conversations, you wouldn't be getting out of the program what you wanted to. And sometimes we just need to talk out these irrational fears and be reassured that you know what this is safe. You're good. You know what to do, and we know. So you tell me, how is this or has it affected your tennis at all?
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm going to remind you, you told me once, it's funny because if I listen to a podcast or I get on a call, which I can't do as often, but I'll listen to them and I'll hear people say things and they really stick with me. And I was telling
Mhm.
you about my fear of like, I don't know if I can lift on the day I have tennis. That might be
Yeah.
too much on my body, my big half-hour workout.
Yes.
And which is not, which is very doable, put it that way. And
Hmm.
I said, hurt. And you're like, what's the worst that can happen? And I was like, nothing. And I realized that you asked that question, I was like, and I like did my first day of playing tennis. And I mean, it's not like Buffy and, Holly out there, bat bat. It can be pretty intense and heavy
Yeah.
duty. And so I did that. And then I lifted afterwards and it was like, I am still alive. Shocking.
Shocking.
She might have a point there. And
Maybe.
I actually didn't feel that bad, but I didn't, my arm didn't fall off. I could walk the next day and it wasn't that bad. So it took me, I guess, just to jump off the cliff to like do that.
Yeah.
So I learned that, and I just kind of psychologically said, who cares too? And it
Hmm.
was just do it. And it doesn't
Hmm.
matter. It doesn't matter if you have tennis, doesn't matter if you have this or whatever. And it was non-impacting.
Yeah.
And of course, and I knew from before 4 years ago, I say weight train, strength training, always kind of thing. And it really, I never had an injury in tennis. I never this. So I knew it was the perfect foundation. So after all this time, I'm finally feeling that again.
Yeah.
It finally feels like, oh, I remember this. even my husband is like, oh my gosh, you're like you used to be,
Mhm.
kind of that well rounded. So it makes a significant difference in everything I do. So,
Yeah, and sometimes we have irrational fears that are holding us back, and it's until you become aware of these irrational fears, and someone question or you question them, and you're like, "But what's the worst that could happen?
yeah,
Oh, nothing. Okay, let's try. Let's
right.
give this a go." And the sky's the limit.
Right. And yeah, and I will say though, I did like one day it was easier for me to lift in the morning and then I had to play that afternoon and I played horrible in my arms. It was when I was trying to do the pull up things
Yes.
and it did hack with me. So I told myself certain things. Sometimes I should, and the good news was you need to do, I'm better off doing it after. But now that I'm into it, it's not a problem. I don't blow it off like I'd say, oh, I don't want to do anymore. So I kind of had to, and that was only a couple times, massage my plan a little bit just because
Yeah.
now that did impact me, a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So these are your words, not mine, which I love, by the way. You had a come to Jesus moment.
I did.
Tell us about that.
I did. Well, there's some preemptiveness. First of all, when I started the program and they're like, take pictures, weigh yourself, measure yourself. The measuring yourself is very challenging, by the way. I hadn't
It
done
is.
that in years. I mean, I've done it before, but the
Yeah.
tape's flying all over the place. And I would
Yeah.
not let anybody else measure. But so I put off getting on the scale because I just dreaded it because it'd been so long since I stepped on the scale. And there was fear again. And I was so afraid to see that number. And then I was floored because it was sort of good news, but I knew better. So I knew it was bad news. I
Mhm.
weighed less than I had in the last 6 years. And it's because I lost all my muscle from not doing my strength training.
Yeah.
So I knew what that was instead of going, yippee, look at me, I need nothing. I was like, oh my God, I knew I didn't have my foundation, but
Yeah.
to see that, I know what's up.
Yeah.
So I was panicked with you, like, should I still eat? What should I eat? Blah. And you said, no, you're good, whatever. Well, then I got slack. I guess it was in February and I was falling off the wagon. I was eating a lot of chips, which was
Mhm.
my vice, Tostito chips, something like that, corn chip,
Yeah.
doing things and just going off the rails. Not on the vegan program. I really have say type. That's not a problem, but I do the what you'd call the bad food vegan or, not as
The
clean
unhealthy vegan
eating.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got on the scale and I was up like 6 pounds, not
Yeah.
from the week before, but it just went there.
In general. Yeah.
And I was like, it just crushed me because I'm not into the weight number as much as I am following the food program and the workout program was my
Mhm.
big thing to do it. And I said, Susan, this program, every time I listen to something, talk to somebody, talk to you, by a miracle, I say a miracle, but it's not a miracle. You're out there. This is the perfect program for me. Everyone talks the way I talk. You've got such a support system. I believe in everything y'all say. I believe what people say. It makes sense. You're real, about saying, oh, it happens.
Yep.
Strive, you don't have to be perfect. And the way like Maxine talks, his words he throws out, I'm like, oh my God, that is so me. And I just said, listen, it wasn't about, oh, you signed up a year and paid all that money. It was like, this opportunity is in your lap. You're engaged in it.
Mhm.
And there's nothing that's going to get any better because you perpetually say how perfect this is for you, your lifestyle, the online. You
Yeah.
need to do this. Like it can't get any better. So
Yeah.
then I sat down and, well, because we had our meeting our scheduled talk soon, and I sat down and wrote down everything that I knew that I remembered or could recall that was causing me an issue or block, what I needed to do to change, tighten the ship, prioritize the workout, not let loose on the, crap, the not as great food and different things. And I remember our meeting and I told you, I think I
Yeah.
have this figured out. So I'm going to tell you, I tell you what I've uncovered and you can tell me, in addition. So that was it, and I about, was blowing an opportunity that was so wonderful in my lap.
Yeah. And you had been in the program for,
Yeah. Few
yeah,
months, quite a few months.
yeah, a few months at that point, and you gained weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I, I try not to tell myself if I freak out a little bit, I'm like, well, I've been lifting and playing tennis. So there's got 1 pound's got to be a muscle or something, but it was a lot. It wasn't because I was, working out. It was
Yeah.
like, it wasn't the right kind of weight gain. I knew.
Yeah.
So
So you came to me and you were very honest with
yeah,
the struggles, and like you took this head on, and I totally appreciate your candor and your honesty. It's like, okay, I got to make this work, and you know what, I'm committed. So again, coming into the program, and I don't mean to make you feel bad, but
no,
you were not perfect.
no,
You went the opposite direction of what
I
you wanted to
was.
do.
And yeah, I wasn't fighting it. I just wasn't. And you keep saying, just do what we say, do what we don't have to think, blah, blah. It wasn't that I was like, oh, turn it all over to you. And the worst part was everything was in my wheelhouse of something that I was totally capable of doing,
Yeah,
had
yeah,
experience, could
yeah,
do.
yeah,
I was by myself, in
yeah,
Florida. My husband, I was like, I have no excuses. Like, it's only going to get tougher if I don't
yeah,
do this now. The scenario is perfect.
yeah, yeah. So you kind of kicked your own butt.
Yes, and I didn't need it to.
You did need to.
Well, if I didn't feel so good about it, I could have just said, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
But part of it was, like I said, everything was perfect for me. You know, the people, the way they talk, the online ability, the program, even the recipes, I will whip out, try something when I have extra time or let me try
yeah,
this
sure.
or something, but it's just all there and so right for me.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the support stuff that you've experienced while in the program. So the group calls, you're somewhat active with the group calls.
I
More,
try. It's
yeah,
tough. I was saying, hardly because of the time change, it's tough. I try to pick, if I can, one, if not two calls a week, if I'm not have a meeting or something in the evening because I'm Eastern Standard Time.
yeah,
And I do, and I like, but at first, I was like, what's this win stuff? I don't want to have to say anything.
yes,
I was shy. Plus I didn't know
yeah,
what was going on. And
sure.
then you'd always say, okay, share your wins. I'm going to hit record. And I would just blurt it out. And you're like, oh, good, Susan, wait until I hit record. So I needed a lot of special help there.
No, you're fine.
It was funny. So now
So,
I don't hesitate as much. I feel more comfortable and,
yeah,
but I've listened, and I listen to other people and they have they talk about what they did to help with certain things or recommend. And I really wish I could attend more because I can listen to them and get information, but it's nice to be active. And of course, I could or make more of an effort, but, it's been super to know that's there. And there's so often like different ones that the only one I don't jump on board is the Wednesday recipe, the cook one.
yeah. I can see why you would not be on that
No, I
call.
will hit it one day, but I'm always like, nope, not Wednesday.
No
So,
Wednesday.
but that's great because I will say, and it is funny and it happens a lot. A lot of the group chat sometimes they'll just go to town on recipes. I don't even know the ingredients they're talking about or the people that wrote the books, but it's fascinating because when I think, oh, I don't do that, I always hear of something new. I'm like, what is that? Or where'd you get that? So even
Mhm.
that is very beneficial.
Yeah, having like-minded people to bounce ideas off and talk about things, because sometimes people who are plant-based are a bit isolated. We might be the only ones in our family or our community, and having some sort of camaraderie
Yes.
is handy to have, because I'm sure we all experience similar struggles in the world and our families. And so your husband isn't plant-based, is he?
No, not at all.
How is
And
that?
you know what? My biggest thing changing was I keep it on the QT, not because I'm embarrassed or anything, but I hate it. I hate this when we go out to eat and I don't flinch. I'm like, I'll find something to eat
Yeah.
in my head. I'm not high maintenance. And even if it's, I have to eat ahead or whatever, even if I
Mhm.
don't check the menu, I hate it if somebody goes, oh, is this going to be okay for you? Is this going to, can we eat here? So when I told him, I didn't tell him for a month. And
Oh,
well, because I was in Florida when I did it and he was
okay.
here. And
Yeah.
then I was nervous because I didn't want it to ruin like something we shared together to go out to eat or like, oh, this is good steak, whatever it was. And he was he's always very supportive and whatnot. But, there was one point he kind of said months later, he's like, I kind of miss that we don't share some of that food. I'm really proud of you or whatever. And I said, I understand that. I get that,
Yeah.
and I said, I hate that. I said that was my big concern because it does kind of take you out of that. But at the same time, I fix everything. He loves whatever. He just gets his meat too.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
worked out good. I just don't like anybody being dramatic about or calling to attention, that somebody's different. Is this okay? Because I'm like, I'm good. This works. I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So, was there anything that surprised you so far in the program that you had not expected to learn or experience, or
I'm probably going to say no. I'm trying to think just because I didn't know.
you didn't
You
know
know,
what you didn't know?
yeah, and that's why I mean, mm, I think I don't know. I don't think there was anything because I really didn't know what to expect because I hadn't talked to anybody about how things go or
Yeah.
how it was done. I know it was online. Like I said, I was just, and it wasn't because I was desperate. It was just like, yeah, that sounds good. Let me do it, and just jumped in.
Yeah.
And nothing's been disappointing or oh I wish they'd do that or this. That's why I can't complain because it's just perfect for me. So I can't, make excuse, well, if y'all would have done this or that or, you know. So there's nothing that I could say is disappointing.
Good. Tell the story about your taking your sweatshirt off at tennis
Oh,
and
okay.
and showing
Oh,
off your arms.
oh, okay. It's funny. That was a story just for you, but I will say it. Okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the
No, it's
spot.
too funny but it's true. And, I don't do gamesmanship, but I do. So, you try not to act like you're tired or whatever. Well, I had been regular on my workouts and I was feeling stronger and I noticed, some of the bat wings gone, whatever. And
Yeah.
so I was playing tennis with my partner and we rolled into a third set. A, it was getting a little warm, but B, I was feeling very good and fit. And so I will not deny, I took my cover up off because I felt like I had some muscles showing.
That's right.
And I wanted that to be a little bit, even if I played terrible, if I looked strong momentarily, that was going to help me. That was going to be a smidget of a psychological edge.
Yeah.
And part of it was, and I did it for them to see, but start of it was I obviously felt good and strong myself. Like I wasn't tired, no problem here. And
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, I used it and I was proud to be able to use it. It'd been a long time since I've been able to do that.
All that hard work in the gym and conquering your fears, you're able to, and it's those tiny little moments that we need to savor.
Right.
That, right? So it's it's doing that extra push up after you struggling with, so many. It's, being proud of your shoulders or your arms or your ability to do whatever. It's those moments that we need to stop and pat ourselves on our backs and congratulate ourselves, because we have, and this is why we celebrate wins on all calls, is because we have to celebrate those and congratulate and not gloss over and push under the rug and say, oh yeah, whatever. Because those are the ones that are going to keep us going to the next one, to the next little goal. And, it's, as adults, I don't think we celebrate ourselves enough.
Right. That is true. And, yeah, for me to tell the story, but it was definitely a moment where what I had done kind of was coming into play
Mm-hmm.
for myself
Yeah.
and hopefully for them. And
Did you win that match? Did you win that match?
We did.
It's all the arms.
Close. It was still close. I won't give my, I'll say buffer, not, we still have work to do, but
of course,
it wasn't the only thing that made the difference. No.
Excellent.
But I've lost Penny too.
Yeah. So we also tackled some habitual snacking.
Yes.
During our,
yes,
time.
Me and my popcorn.
You and your popcorn. Yeah. And any thoughts on that, or?
Yeah, well, it's just I finally told you I was and it's been years. It's like day is done, everything, I'll fix a bowl of popcorn. And I know that sounds harmless, and part of it is because it was harmless. Not microwave popcorn. I get my little air popper out. Sometimes I put a little tablespoon of oil in, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
But it just was an every night thing. And I was like, this cannot be good because I craved it every night. And so I finally told you about it. Like, I think I just, day is done. It's like my cocktail or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you'd say, oh, well, if I'm like, no. It's beyond like, let's just it's Saturday night. Let's have a bowl of popcorn every night.
Every night.
I have had to work on curtailing that, which I have from my every night thing. Which is,
and we discovered it was more habitual than a craving.
Right.
Yeah. Have you replaced that with something else, or are you just kind of white knuckling it?
Well, I white knuckled it for a while, but this week, because I was on the road all the time, and I can tighten up the ship or none, but it's not like a every night habit, but I do have a hankering for like corn chips, Tostitos, like Mexican restaurant. Ooh, chips ahead of time. That's my vice, like for being out and about.
How do you manage that? Okay, so how do you manage that? Do you give yourself a little talking to?
Yeah.
Do you pre-plan it? Like how do you approach that?
I mainly say, don't do it. Don't buy it, one, or don't, we're going out to Mexican. See, that was a bad thing on the road this week, and I had so much going on. I was visiting people, and we're out, and I let my guard down. So I, indulged more this week because I wasn't in my zone, I say. So obviously need to work on that. But I have many a times gone out and just said, don't even touch those chips, and I won't.
Yeah, and do you feel deprived, or are you feeling proud of yourself?
Proud of myself. I mean, That's what's tough. Like us all. I mean, I do have the capabilities to not eat that.
Yes.
But I will say I was tired this week. I was visiting people. I wasn't at home. So I didn't even want to talk to myself about not doing it. I just
Yeah.
like, don't even tell yourself not to eat those chips.
Yeah, because there's times in your life where it's okay to indulge in Tostitos every once in a while,
Yeah.
and it's so. What happens in your inner world? Is there any beating yourself up, or you just give yourself permission?
Should I say I beat myself up?
No, you should tell me the
No,
truth, because
I
then we can
don't. I don't
do
beat
it.
my, needless to say, you, you don't feel good after it,
Yeah,
obviously, because you're not used to eating that grease or whatever's on those chips, which I'm sure
yeah,
isn't, avocado oil or something better than whatever. But,
hmm,
it makes you sluggish or not feel as
yeah,
good the next day or whatever. So that's because it's different from what you eat. And I'm not, of course, not perfect eater, but I can be fine about eating along that way. That's why it's
yeah,
very impactful when you do stray to do that. You really feel it because you're not used to it.
yeah, yeah, and
But
it's just a matter of getting.
it is normal because you don't want to,
Yeah,
it happens.
yeah, absolutely. You can't live your life in a bubble, and you're gonna entertain people and be out of your normal environment, and it's not the issue of the what you eat, it's the afterwards and the before, and being mindful about it and
Right.
conscious. Yeah, yeah, just bringing awareness to everything. So tell me, if somebody is on the fence and wants to join something, what would you tell that person?
To join Fit Vegan.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I have you ever had anybody who took, I mean, I'm sure you have. On my calls I've been on, I think it would be a lot for someone who isn't a vegetarian or vegan,
Yeah.
like it's advanced. So
Yeah.
I would say either dabble with it first before you go into that, because I think it would be too overwhelming
Yeah.
if they didn't already, like me, try a few things, do this or that. Now I could be wrong because that coach, if you knew that of me and I'm coming in and I ate meat yesterday and you're going to help me, I'm sure you have
Yeah.
something designed
Yeah.
for
We
that.
would meet we would meet the individual where they're at, and
Right.
and work from there.
So that would be my only thing is like, either be prepared or make sure you tell them that you do that. Cause I had a hard time when I went vegan physically. I felt terrible for a couple of weeks because everything was
Oh,
changing and whatever,
yeah.
but I got past it. Um, but I would definitely highly recommend, I would say tell them too that they need to reach out more because we all, one thing, just again, we're all like A personalities, go getters, this and that. That's kind of a common thread. And we
Yeah.
think we can do everything by ourselves, which is me, you know.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
And that's why I didn't want to bother you. I don't want to bother you and ask you. And you're like, that's what I'm here for. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I
Let me
should,
do my job.
I know. And I'm going, let me figure it out. I'm a big girl. I should be able to figure it out. And I should be able to work out on my own. I know how to work out. Well, obviously, I need someone. So let them help you and be honest and real with what you're struggling with because that help is available in so many forms
Yeah.
and to not be shy like I was initially afraid at first. And maybe that's just natural for everybody. It would expedite things,
Yeah.
but for
Absolutely.
your comfort level. But I was still trying to figure it out all by myself on my own, despite the fact, you know, there's chat rooms, there's you, there's all the calls, there's, just so many opportunities.
Yeah. 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 Run towards the coach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't be afraid, and don't be afraid to ask on call, speak up on calls, which is hard at first because my first couple, I didn't know I didn't understand how they went, the Zoom
Yeah.
calls y'all offer.
Yeah.
Um, and again too, and I still struggle. I don't have this background. One thing a lot of people talk about, oh, I have this recipe book from so and so, or I followed this program before in the past. I don't have any background on all that. Um,
Right.
uh, I, don't,
You have
I don't
nothing
know
to refer
anybody but
to.
fit vegan.
You you're kind of the perfect person because you haven't gone through a lot of the nonsense that's out there. You came to a program, in my opinion, of course, I'm
Right,
biased, but the best approach to longevity and health and fitness and building lean tissue and we're not starving you, we're meeting people where they're at and working from there, and there's no nonsense of beating up oneself or yelling or making them
right.
feel bad. Like there's a lot of programs out there that don't operate like this, or you get the cookie cutter, right? You get the here's the PDF, here's the meal plan, go, which is
Yeah, because
insulting.
every coach says, "Yeah, oh, okay, you eat chips. You ate chips all week." I'm not going to say, "Oh, you bad girl." I'm going to say, "Oh, I hope you had a great time." Okay,
Pretty
let's.
much,
I
yeah.
mean, and I'm thinking that's so real, you know.
It is real. Yeah.
So that was, really nice to hear, and that is the way it goes. It's like just move on. Tomorrow's tomorrow.
Tomorrow's tomorrow, yeah. Speaking of tomorrow, do you think what we've created together in the time that we've been working, a sustainable way of living that you can carry forth for years and years?
Absolutely. I, I
Yeah.
I really believe that because I've had trainers before, which I've liked, and
Mhm.
the fact of the matter is, as much as I know about working out, I'm like, it is a luxury and a pleasure I say, and it's so me to have a coach, trainer,
Mhm.
person to talk to because
Yeah.
as we get older and busy, it's nice to have somebody lay it out, tell you what to do because that's one less thing we have to worry about. But I tell you, my goals, what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that and opening up to you on a few things like discovering that I was really fear shocked, whatever, about working out and
Yeah.
mixing this whole thing was new to me too. I mean, I knew I felt it, but kind of peeling that back and
Mhm.
it's definite. It's all very sustainable
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's a great base for everything or just to keep going. It's very educational, but it's easy to get in the flow too.
Yeah. It's very
Because
important to me.
yeah, I've never tried and I don't believe in any quick fix diets or whatever. I've never, I'm just not one of those who's done that or
Yeah.
just think, you always hear, oh, you gained so much weight after. I don't even know because I didn't do them. It just
Yeah.
never interests me. I don't think I've ever gone on a real program other than say, oh, eat clean, like not Weight Watchers or whatever
Yeah.
to lose pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Sustainability is my top priority.
Right. Because that was my whole thing about going vegan is I want to sustain on my life. Hopefully this health thing, and probably because I got knocked down for 4 years with things that weren't even injuries from, um, sports or athletics or whatever. It was just random things that happened to me and took me down. And I was like, I just don't want, if there's anything I can do to try to help avoid that,
Yeah.
that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And still struggled with lifting those weights for months and those chips creep in. So,
Yeah, it happens. Life happens.
yeah,
We're human, and that's just part of the experience. And yeah, I really appreciate your easiness with yourself and your care that you give yourself and the grace. A lot of people come in and they're very hard on themselves, and it doesn't have, you can achieve your goals and still be kind and loving and allow for grace to happen and still get to where you want to go.
Well, I will say 20 years ago, you probably wouldn't be talking to the same person.
It's a process.
You did that as well, because I did tell myself I'm going to be honest. Even, I could be so, I could cheat because you don't see me every day, and I could type whatever I want to,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I said, I was like, oh, I didn't, I couldn't eat. I couldn't get all this in this week. I didn't work out. And you said, you're not, allow yourself some grace. Whatever you said in that, that just, I was like, I let it go. Like you said, we're not here for perfection. Give yourself some grace. Don't be so hard on yourself. And when I read that, and that was, I don't know, maybe January, early in, I really just let it go, because I felt like it was a journey, not a deadline.
Yeah.
But you said that, and I kept hearing it, but when I saw it that time, it sunk in, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing I like about y'all's program. Like I told you, that the survey they sent out, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, a survey. Like you buy something from Amazon. How was your experience? You go to Lowe's. Tell us how
Yeah.
we did. I'm like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. Every time I turn around, somebody wants me feedback.
Yes.
But I stopped everything at that moment and did your survey, because I knew that y'all really wanted to know. That's the
Yeah,
vibe
we
I
do.
get from y'all. You
We
didn't
do.
just ask me like, oh, we're going to throw one out every month. I knew y'all wanted to know. I felt that way. They want to
Yeah.
know because they want to make this as good as they can. They care about us. That was just a perception that I got from hearing and listening to everybody. So I feel like everybody's care and concern or thoughts are very genuine.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I'm glad that it comes through, because
Well, it does.
sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it doesn't always. But yeah, we do. We're a tight group, and we do really care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when Maxime was, when he introduced was it 2 or 3 new coaches you got?
Yeah. Got 3 new coaches.
And he said, we kind of had this in the process for a long time, but I'm very particular about who, and I really respected that, because
Yeah,
he, what y'all have and things working always can be, everybody can always be a little better somewhere, or strive to be.
for sure.
And I thought that's good. That's that's how I would do something. So that was a good, that comment was like good to hear.
Yeah. Any last words that you want to say that I have not asked or touched on?
I don't think so. We went through my slack workout phase, my pulling my shirt off in my tennis match, my popcorn addiction. Other than that, I'm a happy fit vegan. No,
Oh, that makes me so happy. And there's
I'm a genuine fit vegan. I do, I'm going to keep at it, because I truly believe in the program and like it and enjoy the camaraderie, and I need it. So
yeah.
it's all good. And I'm so glad I just jumped right in and signed up.
I'm not surprised you approached it this way. Knowing what I know about you now, I totally can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll figure it out from here. But no, lots of
Right.
help along the way.
Yeah, good. All right. I want to thank you for taking the time for joining me today and answering my questions and having a conversation and being honest and open. And so thank you.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it.